What's up, everybody? Welcome to the East Coast Red and Gold podcast. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty Olson, Maddie B, and your girl Bex. It is Wednesday, April 2nd, and we are here. We are back. What's going on, guys?
Everything's good. All of a sudden, you're echoey, though.
I am?
Yeah. It's like your audio changed. You're crystal clear pre-show. Yeah, you went in the tunnel.
Here we go.
She's in the Lincoln, folks. Hold on.
Not the Holland.
She's coming to Midtown. Yeah.
Upper or lower?
All of that talk just makes me twitch, frankly.
I should be. Am I good now?
Nope. It's still the same. That's weird.
It sounds like it's connecting to something else.
Pre-show, you were crystal clear.
Yeah.
Now you got this lo-fi echo type thing going on. It's weird. And yes, Rob, Maddie is too cool for school. At a certain point, you get just to a certain level where the coolness just takes over. That's Maddie.
There was this movie called The X-Men, and this dude called Cyclops, and eventually, if he'd got just got angry enough, lasers would shoot out of his eyes. That's kind of where I'm at this point. So it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm currently watching while working on the audio issues. I'm currently watching back what to me was kind of the last functional game of the season this year, the Week 10 win versus Tampa, because they still had most of the team out there and everything else. Some interesting stuff on this All-22 watch back when you go back and watch it again. You can tell they definitely watched some film at the end of the season based on some of the guys they kept and some of the guys they said thank you for playing and thank you for your time in 49er red and gold.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Ooh, we need to move on, upgrade, do some things.
There was one play, it's probably 4 plays in on the first drive. They give it to Deebo Samuel on a jet sweep. Christian McCaffrey's blocking for him. All Deebo Samuel's got to do is step out on the left side, and he's going down the sidelines untouched for about a 60-yard touchdown run. Instead, he cuts into the right and gets tackled by 3 guys. As he's walking away, Christian McCaffrey puts his arms up in the air and shrugs his shoulders like, what the hell? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he saw it. And he doesn't seem to me to be like a guy who's going to be like, let me show up my teammates real quick, right?
Nah.
That to me was just like how the hell do you miss that sort of deal? And when you go back and watch some of the All-22 from last year, there was nothing schematically wrong with this team. Let's put it that way. There were just a lot of poor choices made when options were made on what hole I want to take and what turn I want to move and where I want to throw to. Oh, something just did something.
Am I good now?
No, there was a pop though.
Yeah, there was a pop.
Like you were about to come through crystal clear.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm still.
All right. Yeah. Just roll with it. You're fine. We
We'll
can
just roll
hear
with it.
you.
We'll be all right.
Hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine. It's just
We're gonna
you're
be
not
all
as
right.
clear as you was pre-show.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
All right. So, owners' meetings. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Jed York. Jed York was asked if Brock is a top 10 quarterback. He responded, I think he's great, especially when you combine him with Kyle and what we have. Your thoughts on that, Ty?
He just gave him a positive answer. That's what they do. They never give you anything concrete, but it was a positive, encouraging answer. So you just take it for what it is. We know Brock is the guy. He's not going anywhere. So, yeah.
Becca?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think they're not going to say no. He's not going to go, no, our guy's not
I know,
a
right?
guy. We're not going to give him top 10 money. and then turn around and call him a not top 10 guy.
Well, he could
Yeah.
turn around and say, yeah, he's up there. He can kind of.
He could have said something more definitive. Yes, he could have been like, absolutely, he's a top 10 guy. Psh, look at his numbers. Well, look at his play. Been to the Super Bowl. Blah blah blah. I think he's just being very measured and trying not to say anything that become the big quotable quote of the day nonsense. So he just kept it very neutral. But you're about to pay the guy top 10 money, so you better believe in him to be that guy.
Maddie?
Earlier in the day, in a similar interview, he was happy to say that he's going to be the highest paid 49er of all time. A lot of people seem to miss that little soundbite. There's some fairly hefty numbers that would have been thrown in there. Probably at the top of their pay scales back in the day, too, considering they implemented a salary cap to stop this team from doing what it was doing for years. Just adjust that for inflation, kids. But yeah, that's kind of where it's at. So he has to be measured in what he says, but at the same time, he really wasn't this week, too, right? Like, there were so many quotes and there were so many interviews of things that I heard this week and snippets that I heard of things. They clearly want to get a deal done with him and they clearly want to build around him. But the thing that they're doing that really kind of chaps my ass a little bit is it seems like they're trying to make it seem like, well, we got to do all the stuff with Brock. That's why we got to get everybody out of here. Well, that's kind of bullshit because they've also got to take care of George Kittle. They also got to take care of Fred Warner, and they've also got to take care of Jawan Jennings, right? To me, those are some pretty big tentpole guys that you're going to need if you want to ensure Brock Purdy's success moving forward. And those guys need to be taken care of. So a lot of this cleanup is because of them, and also Brandon Ayuk, if you want to include him in there. Brandon Ayuk's on board. He's there. He made it past the April Fool's deadline, so he's going to be here, and that's a guy that when him and Brock are simpatico, this offense is at a different level. However you feel about Brandon Ayuk, him and Brock worked well together, and when he's got a full camp, when he's got stuff going on, when they get to get some reps, uh, he can also be there for breakdown plays too. So I just don't like the fact that it seems like they're putting all the pressure on Brock because if things don't work out, everybody's going to blame him. They're going to turn on him the same way that they turned on Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Straight up, like no doubt about it. So, and frankly, like we're lucky to have a dude like Brock who has erased a lot of mistakes and made people saved a lot of people's jobs based on what he did, considering other things that have happened. So I think you do what you can and give him the best chance to win, but at the same time, you don't put a bunch of pressure on people. That's why I don't think it's a good.
Time out.
Yeah.
Can I ask how are they putting pressure on him? Because I don't get that vibe at all.
It's the vibe to me, Ty, and I appreciate that. Like I appreciate you seeing it like that. But the way they're setting it up, and from what I've heard from John and Kyle and everything, yeah, it's great. We love Brock. They haven't really talked about how they've got to do the work on the other guys too, right? Everything's about like, well, we got to clean up the space for Brock. Well, there's more there to clean up, right? And to me, it's kind of like, well, you guys know we got to pay Brock, right? It's like they're already planning to use it as like the talking point. Like, this is why we can't do something, or this is why we're not going to do something, or blah, blah, blah. Like, it seems like they're setting it up as a prime talking point. And if things don't go well, they're setting Brock up to be the fall guy in that scenario. Well, Brock didn't live up to his contract deal, right? Well, no, maybe you didn't build the team right around him, or you traded 3 first-round picks that probably could have helped during the Brock Purdy era as well, right?
Oh, I didn't mute myself. My bad.
But those sorts of things, like
keep it real though.
That's just what it seems like they're doing. Like I don't like that. Like, let's make this a celebratory thing. Like it doesn't have to. This needs to be like cool. It doesn't need to be like this should be like, hey, we're going into the Brock Purdy era. Let's go. Not, oh well, we had to do all this stuff because we got to do Brock's contract. I don't like the way that's presented, and that's just a personal preference for me.
Go ahead, Ty. If you want to,
Yeah, I just don't see it that way at all. They're being asked specific questions and they're answering it. They're not being asked, so what is the genetic makeup of the team and things like that. They're just answering what they're being asked. So you could blame that on reporters. And like John and Kyle and them, they don't like to give up more than they have to.
Oh yeah.
But
and that
but
seems
you can
to me
see. But
Oh, yeah.
wait, hold on. But you can see they're setting everything up for Brock to succeed. That started last year. They went out and drafted 2 receivers who can do what? Run routes, get open. They have good speed. That suits Brock very well. They went out and drafted an Isaac Guerrero, who was a receiver first, turned running back. That suits Brock well for what we want to do with the running back in the passing game. Like, I don't think they're setting him up for failure, and like they didn't even really throw Jimmy under the bus when he did succeed. I don't see it that way at all. I just nah.
I think the most that they're doing as far as pressure wise is they're putting the ball in his court.
Well, if you're going to be the guy,
what's that?
I said, well, if you're going to be the guy, yeah, you expect the ball to be in your
what
court.
I mean is because Jed also said that he's not in the contract negotiations, but the talks that he's had with Brock are great. He feels good about it. When he's ready, they'll sit down and finish it. So I feel like there's just a lot of that. Like the Niners are ready. It's up to Brock.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, Becca?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair for what we know right now. That seems to be on point. They've made an offer, ball's in their court. Now it's their move. Here we go.
He also said to Mike Garafolo, I don't think we're that far apart. I think we get it done. Yeah. And he reiterated again, whenever he's ready, we're ready. John Lynch expects the deal to be done with Brock. I think there's a whole lot of confidence that's coming from them than usual. What do you guys think on that, Ty?
Yeah, you should be confident. I mean, it's something you've been planning for, working on. I'm sure they've started right after the season ended. And the biggest part is you're dealing with an individual and an agent that has a bit of professionalism to them that aren't about the antics and the BS that they've had with some other players. So when you have that mutual rapport and everything's level and we're going to be above board, it has confidence to get a deal done. I can see it happening quick. Like, there's no guesswork here. Everyone knows what the numbers are. We know what you want. We want you. You want us. Let's make it happen.
Sin wants to know, does it mean that they put an offer on the table that's less than what he wants? I don't know. I think there is something out there on the table.
Yeah. Terms though, really, when you think about it, how long is it? What's guaranteed money? They could be negotiating a lot of different points.
That's the key. Yeah. Many people overlook that with these contracts. There's so many points involved, and they go back and forth on all of them. The years, the guaranteed money, the signing bonus, the roster bonus, the workout bonus, all this stuff.
The bonus for showing up and getting dressed.
Exactly.
So your left shoe on before your right.
Yeah.
What's up, McDiner? Maddie, what do you think about John Lynch saying that? Well, here's a quote. It's not too optimistic to think a deal can get done by the start of the offseason program. I know we all want this to be done, hence the thumbnail, get it done. Do you think Brock will hold out?
No.
Why not?
But because he doesn't seem to, as Ty just mentioned earlier, He doesn't seem to be into the antics. He hasn't unfollowed the 49ers on Instagram or anything like that.
You know what I'm
He hasn't done any of that bullshit. You know
He
what I
hasn't
mean?
the
None of
account.
that's been done.
saying?
Exactly. Like that's not happening. And I think he knows that part of his charm is the fact that he's there, right? The fact that he knows the system. Like that's part of the deal. And like this is like a dude who can really get to the upper levels of Sonic, right? I mean, if you really look at Kyle Shanahan's offense like a video game, Sonic or Zelda or whatever the hell game you want to, compare it to.
It's
Like
Pac-Man.
there are probably different levels of this playbook that Brock Purdy's been able to unlock because he's been in the thing since 2022 now, right? That's 2, 3, 4. This is going to be the fourth year of that. So, yeah, to me, those are the sort of things that kind of ingrain this, and it's why it's so important to get this thing done and make sure that it's close enough. Like if they, maybe they do something to insult him, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever, beat it. I'm doing something with my fiance on this weekend, so have a good time." Or I'm gonna go do, like whatever he's gonna do. Um, I highly doubt that happens, though. I think he's gonna be out slinging reps to Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings and whoever else they might have in for OTAs and start getting things in because he's going to be ready to go. He's fully healthy. He didn't have to do anything this offseason. You know what I mean? Like he's ready to go. So
I think it's going to come down to a point where he just tells his agent, like, look, I want to get this done. I had said a couple shows ago, I don't know if it was last show or, but his agent is a new agent.
Mhm.
So he's going to want, the best deal, not only for Brock, but, himself.
Yeah.
So that could kind of be like a blessing and a curse, for the Niners. But I think the type of person that Brock is, I think it's just a matter of, look, off season, the program is coming. Let's get it done. What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm hoping, he's getting that. If he doesn't have it, he's already within himself. He's getting that guidance from his family or anyone like, hey, remember the agent works for you. You can tell him to get this done. You can tell him the number you want. You can tell him X, Y, and Z and not be the guy holding it up because we've seen that. We know it happens. The agent wants to make sure he gets his percentage, so he wants the highest deal possible. Like, take the reins. So I don't think he'll hold out.
The white shirt and the red hat.
I need a.
Are you talking about Kyle behind me?
Yeah, I need a beard. I need a peach jacket and white shirt.
and what's going
Slick
on
my
with
hair back.
what's going on with the Pat Riley hair with him lately?
Kyle's got a
Like,
whole different vibe going on.
Why is he in his 1988 Lakers era? Like what the hell's happening with him? Genuinely concerned.
That's
But,
that's Kyle now.
Yeah,
He probably hasn't cut his hair in a while.
he's enjoying the off season
Based on
life.
the bags under his eyes, it looks like he has.
It's the off season for him too.
I agree with Ty. Like I think that he, even though he had the bags under his eyes, it was early, yesterday morning. But I think that he's enjoying the off season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had said that he goes, I want to get to work now more than I probably have in a long time. I can't wait until our players get back.
Yeah.
I think that's a motivated Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Not to say that he hasn't been motivated in the past, but I just think just hearing him say that, the confidence and, even when he talks about Robert Saleh, which we'll talk about the defense in a little bit, it's like Saleh never left. There is something that Jed York did say that I want your takes on. He said, cost cutting doesn't mean we're prohibited from making trades, signing players, extending our own. Always something we try to do. Eagles got Saquon last season, and he didn't know that there was someone on the board that would make an impact in free agency. Thoughts, Maddie?
I I think they watched the film last year and they knew that they weren't one player away, right? Like they put their house on the market and people are like, you know what, this bathroom's a little outdated. We gotta get this kitchen tile taken care of. This basement floods a little bit in the spring, i.e. the special teams. Like they had to go in and just basically redo what they were going to need to do. If you went out and looked at the free agent market this year, I don't know what they would have done that would have made anything better and mixed in with their current thing. Ooh, so let's say they signed the kid that the Patriots signed from Philly. Does that make everything better? Well, no, we just tried that with Javon Hargrave, and it didn't really make everything better, right? Like, actually, this run defense has been worse for the last couple of years. So, whatever's going on or whatever that was, like, I think there's ebbs and flows in the National Football League, and there's some years that teams are going to spend a hell of a lot of money on free agents in the offseason, and there are going to be years where teams don't spend a hell of a lot of money on free agents in the offseason. And I think this is just one of those years that the 49ers didn't need to or didn't want to spend money on the free agent class. It was more like, hey, let's look at the draft and let's get some other things done. Like all good teams do this. Like this is the good team tax. This is the price you pay for rooting for a team that goes to a lot of NFC title games and Super Bowls. This just happens. It's just how it works in the NFL. So you hope that when your flow is high enough that or whatever it is there that you're getting that title.
Your high
Right,
water
'cause
mark
if-
is enough for
Well,
the title.
yeah,
There
that
you
your
go.
high water mark is higher than everybody else's at this point. right?
Exactly.
That's really what it boils down to. And they know that they need to make their higher water mark a little higher because they weren't able to do it last time. And Philadelphia seems to have raised the high water mark for everybody, it looks like. So much so that they're trying to change the rules to keep them from being able to do a play. So, which I find interesting.
Becca, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with anything Matt said. I think, we haven't exactly had the best luck always in free agency. And maybe what they're seeing is not what they exactly think is going to help us. So I don't know, especially now with bringing Salah back in. They probably didn't pick people up immediately because they want his input and his ideas on what's going to help and hurt. And then you've got all of these free agents that walked. I don't know. I guess, I think maybe there's still some free agent to be made that, once the draft starts to happen, there's usually people that are cut and, we'll see. I don't know.
Ty?
Yeah. There's two things. One, the free agents. There wasn't any real big free agent out there that would have moved the needle. And I know everybody was crushing on Drew Dahlman, like my man David. That's his boy. But people forget they're free agents. They get to choose where they want to go. Drew Dahlman turned down high offers from teams and chose the Bears because he wanted to play with Ben Johnson. Likes his offense, believes in him. He wanted to go there.
Youth check, to your point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dre Greenlaw, he chose to go to Denver.
Yes.
So it's not like the 49ers were sitting around doing nothing. I'm sure they were trying a guy here or there, but all the big guys were the ones that were rumored to be wanting a trade, the Max Crosbys and the others of the world. So, yeah, and the 49ers don't normally make big free agent splashes anyway. But the spending thing is a bit overblown. The 49ers are spending. They just spent $62 million in cash and signing bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
That's not being cheap, y'all. They're about to extend Kittle. I'm sure when he signs it, name on the dotted line. He's going to get a nice signing bonus. That's a lot of money coming out. We talked about Brock. He's going to get a nice signing bonus that they're talking about. The money is being spent. It's just being spent in a different way. Not the way that fans want them to, but that happens every year during free agency when fans are like, sign these 30 players. We want them. Which, of course, is impossible.
Especially with this team, right? Like, I think people just see the Rams and the Eagles and think you can stack things, but it's all about different things and all about different accounting moves. So
I think we just got a whole lot of Band-Aids last year. The 1 year, 2 year deals, and it just didn't work.
And yeah, exactly.
Well,
and
I think
that's
we thought our core was enough of a team to take us across that goal line too, the high water mark that Maddie talked about. But then we had all the injuries, so the Band-Aids didn't hold.
Didn't hold up. Yep.
Didn't hold up so well.
They got wet and started peeling off.
Started peeling away. That's right.
Yeah.
Slipping off.
But that's
Band-Aids.
yeah. But that's part of the controlled spending. Like, I think, and we've done this like for years. We were going out and we're like, oh, we have this hole, we have this little need. Let's go out and get this Band-Aid free agent who may be a little older, but he flashed at some point. He was good. He kind of knows the system, etc. Let's give him 10 million and bring him in. And then meanwhile, he winds up getting outplayed by some rookie or second or third year guy. Well, that's 10 million we could have saved. And we could have been developing this young guy all along. Let's start doing that more often.
Papa J said they say that they offered more, but how much more? Obviously not enough to overturn his decision.
it wasn't that. They could have offered him the moon and the sun. The only way that he was going to do that is that Trey Greenlaw wants to be the guy. He was never going to be the guy here with Fred Warner here.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it. Like, it's so, they even said it. They're like the Scottie Pippen Michael Jordan analogy. And just like Ty said, like, it's just, come on.
Hey there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Jameson
but I don't
Cameo.
like that excuse. I know he wanted his own linebacker room, whatever, but to us fans, like, Dre was the man.
He was. That's the thing.
How we all love All Pro Fred, like, we love Dre.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
They were like the lumberjacks. They were just the two guys,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they should have taken us down to Texas with them.
Yeah,
we could have let them know.
Pep talk from the fans.
Yeah, dude,
right?
there is no LB1 and LB2.
LB2, no.
There's LB1 and LB1. Like, you guys are equal.
Y'all are like
don't get it twisted.
You balance it out, right?
Yeah. Same way we had Willis and Bowman, we got Warner and Greenlaw. They go hand in hand.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that whole quote from his dad, I don't know.
Yeah. That's the way he was looking at it.
Like from his little league days or whatever in the Denver Broncos gear. Whatever.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, whatever. All right, let's talk a little Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel, everybody's favorite topic. I actually saw on my desk calendar that before we get into that, speaking of offensive linemen, and he definitely was a hot topic when he was on the team, and Mike McGlinchey, that he never missed a regular season or playoff game when he was a Niner. I didn't know that.
Who's that?
Mike McGlinchey.
Oh, McGlinchey. Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I didn't know he never missed a regular season game at all?
According to my desk calendar, he never missed a regular season game or playoff game. They could be wrong.
I thought in 2019, him and Staley got hurt.
Was it? I was thinking
and we missed part of the season.
Right, I did too. I don't know.
Ty, you got to look that up.
Yeah.
I gotta look that up because I'm hella curious right now.
All right, so Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel. I know Kyle and John and Chris Forster love Jake Brendel and Colton McKivitz. I don't think Colton McKivitz had that bad of a season last season. Jake Brendel, on the other hand, according to everyone's charts and graphs and all that fun stuff that I can't stand, he actually did pretty well. I still think that there's going to be competition between Brendel and Hennessy. I still think that they're going to obviously draft an O-lineman. I know people say like, oh, Kyle's not going to play a rookie. Well, Don Pooney was in there.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall was in there. Jacob Cowling was in there. I don't care how. I don't care if so-and-so got injured, whatever. They made it out on the field. Malcolm Mustafa, Renardo Green. Okay. Your thoughts on the O-line, Ty?
Yeah. Real quick, in 2019, McGlinchey did miss 4 games. He was out with something. I remember him and Staley was out at one point, and it was like, oh my gosh, and we fought through it. Grit. Let's go Niners. Jake Brendel is like 2 sides of a coin, because one at some points he looks really good, and at other points he looks really bad. Like when he's getting knocked on his butt, or when he's just blocking nobody and turning around and looking at Brock run. It's just bad, right? And what makes it really bad is that you would expect him to like re-engage with the play. Like go help somebody else block. Like, look to your left, look to your right. There's always somebody around. Go double team a guy. Help your teammate. Do something. He kind of tends to just stand around. And it's hard to watch. But when he's on, he's on. It's the inconsistency. And that's been the theme of the whole season. It's the inconsistency. But you can't have that at the center position. That's why we need an upgrade. I understand we made it to NFC championship games with Colt and Brendel. I'll get to Colt in a minute. But we need an upgrade. So I'm with you. I expect competition there with Hennessy, with Drake Nugent. Nick Sakel could be in that center. Maybe they'll draft one. They have to. They had to look at upgrading the position. I know it's good to say all the right things about the guy because you may wind up needing him and going back to him. But internally, they have to be talking and saying, we need to upgrade. And that's the same for Colt McKivitz. Like we all know his kryptonite is a speed rusher. He just doesn't have the feet. He's not quick enough. And there's a guy with speed. He's getting around him. And Brock's like, oh, crap. Brock's like, what move can I make now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So once again, we can't have a guy that's only good at one thing. He's got to be good at both run blocking and pass blocking and can handle all kinds of guys. So upgrades are needed.
Becca.
Well, as a WVU boy, I can't hate on Colt McKivitz too hard. But he's definitely better in both passing and run blocking. Excuse me. Wow. Things fall off my shelf here. But yeah, I think Brendel definitely struggled. He struggled in the pass blocking, I think, more than the run blocking. But he's definitely the one I felt like this past year had the more up and down season. Like
for sure. Agreed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maddie?
I expect them to probably draft a center. This Hennessy thing is really intriguing. It seems like a lot of their kind of cat voodoo magic finding guys on the cheap, right? Like, look at the production they get out of Juwan Jennings for the price that they
Mhm.
got him for last year, as an example.
Yep.
I think that kid Ben Scott from Nebraska would probably fit this team like a glove. I wouldn't be shocked to see him maybe get drafted, maybe learn some things. If they're really serious and they really self-scouted themselves, they know Jake Brendel is a turnstile, and they know they've got to upgrade that position. And they also know that Colton McGivitz is just kind of Mike McGlinchey Jr. Just kind of how that goes. It's just that's how that is. And he's going to get a big contract somewhere. It ain't going to be with us, but he'll get a big contract somewhere. So probably Houston or one of the other teams that wants to be the 49ers, which is totally fine. Um, but that's just be prepared for it because somebody's gonna have to fill in and take his spot. And they're usually pretty good about finding guys like that. And guess what? That guy will probably struggle with speed rushes as well because that seems to be the key for this team.
It's the MO. Yeah.
Right.
So Papa J said what makes the team is the O-line. They give the quarterback time for wide receivers to look good and running backs to produce and gives the defense good rest. We all know that defense wins Super Bowl, so let's focus on the O-line, in my opinion. I think in this draft, I think they go heavily on the D-line. And then they sprinkle in some O-line guys because we need D linemen. We don't have Leonard Floyd. We don't have Malik Collins. Javon Hargrave is gone. We need someone opposite Bosa. So we
And
need
have forever.
What's that?
And have forever, right? They literally got Leonard Floyd a year too late, and then
Chase Young, right? We've tried.
They tried Chase Young, that didn't work. D Ford's couldn't stay healthy. This has been a recurring theme. And this pick 11 is honestly a chance for them to maybe do it right if things fall their way. So we'll see. Hopefully some QB needy teams move up in the draft and allow some guys to maybe fall down to that spot that wouldn't be there.
So Papa J, so by all means, I'm not a Brendel fan, but are we really getting the full picture of Big Brendel's performance, or are we just looking at his basic plays and ignoring the big ones?
No. Like I said, he's two sides of a coin. Like when he plays well and he's on point, he does look good. Like I've seen him pancake guys. I've seen him set his base and hold up blocks and pass pro, looking real good. But when he looks bad, it's bad. And the problem here is with the O-line, with any O-line, any position, you needed to be consistent. Play in and play out. That's what you're looking for. You can't have a guy, get a pancake on, second and 5. Then on 3rd and 1, he gets knocked on his butt. And we got a punt,
I just looked up his PFF grades on pass blocking. He's 51st out of 64 centers and 55.1 pass blocking grade. His run blocking is 71.6 and he's 12th out of 64 centers. So, definitely he's better in the run.
There are 32 centers that start in the league.
I guess the backups are counting.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, right? That is how he ranks on pass blocking as opposed to other centers. Among his peers at his position, he ranks 50 something out of 60 something.
So he's a backup in other places.
Yeah.
He's on the low end.
And,
the low end theory.
And
blocking.
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
He's definitely starting. So
before we move on, we are brought to you by Faithful Gear. Get your customized Niners gear at faithfulgear209.com, made for the faithful by the faithful. Again, it's faithfulgear209.com. I actually agree with Kali's comment. He thought McKivitz was serviceable with Cooney next to him. Brendel and Banks were the weak links along the O-line.
Yeah. Like I said, I got no problem with Colt. I think he holds his own. His one weakness, real weakness, is speed rushers. Like they can get around him. He just doesn't have the technique, the footwork to hold up against speed rushers. So that's his one glaring flaw. Brindle, like I said, is inconsistent. And you want your center working with your young quarterback who's, we all point to him, hey, he's the guy. We need him to be consistent. We need him to be steady. Because he's steady, that makes Brock more steady. That makes the whole offense more steady. So an upgrade is needed.
McNiner says that Brendel can run block, but he misses blitzes a lot, and somehow the fabricated metrics totally don't factor it in.
Well, we know how those go. Those chart people.
Yeah, the chart people. But that's exactly what the stat just said, that he's better in the run than he is in pass.
Every time I see a chart, I have to turn it off. I can't.
Yeah, cringe. Oh, here we go.
Like I think I tweeted today. I was like, I hate charts. Can't stand it. Steve-O says he's not judging anyone from last year.
Well, and that's fair too. It's a new year.
Fair.
That year is done.
That is very fair. All right. Moving on to wide receivers. One particular wide receiver is still with us. One, Brandon Ayuk. John Lynch said that he's tracking well. He did very well in his appointment with Dr. Elatrosh. And the doctor also kind of hinted maybe a week 1 start, but they're getting into timetables. What are your thoughts, Maddie?
Awesome. I hope it works out. Legit. Right? See it on the field. Let's stop all the Instagramming drama and all that other stuff. Like, don't carry stop carrying that stuff over from the contract negotiations from last year. And I say that out loud, not just for him. I say that out loud to the 49ers organization probably as much as anybody, right? Between the two of them, I don't know what the hell happened. And at the end of the day, we'll never know the true story because that's how things work. Whatever was perceived, whatever happened. But at the end of the day, just seems like to me like hopefully he starts out fresh, he starts out healthy, he starts out ready to go, and he has a real productive year. Because I think he's the type that's going to put a lot of pressure on himself until he does really well. And I don't want to see him struggle with that. You know what I mean? Just person to person. Like he's gone out and he's definitely put in the work with this rehab, I'm sure. So hopefully he gets to back to where he needs to be, not only for this team, but for himself.
Becca?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big point you just made, Matt, is he needs a full off season. He needs to come in, and if he's going to be week 1 ready, we're going to know it when we start to see him in practices when that starts to happen. So a good solid off season that gets him acclimated back into the game, I think is going to be a big deal. Get him in football shape and ready to take hits and work out the cobwebs and not see ghosts and worry about, getting injured. You got to work out all of those mental things too. So hopefully that's a big piece of it. He comes back mentally prepared.
I can't wait to hear the whole, they better not rush him back.
You know that's coming. Most definitely coming. Oh yeah. They're going to say all the positive stuff, but I think we all knew he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole trade thing, I think that was overblown. I think that's just, like I said, when they get together at the combine and they just start talking, they just ask each other all kinds of questions, all kinds of stuff. And these little flies that be on the wall there pick up on it and run with it. And then, of course, social media runs with it. And you know how that game is played. It got a ton of clicks and views last year. Let's run it back this year. I think that's all it was. As far as his return, I don't see him coming back to, week 8, week 9. it's going to take a while. Don't rush him back. You don't want a Dre Greenlaw situation where he plays a game and then he's gone. Like, take your time with him.
I had heard
we got young receivers. Like, let's use them and work him back when he's ready.
Yeah, I don't think week one. I think, I've heard week 6, 7, around there. I think.
I bet it depends on the bye week too.
Yes,
how that is because God forbid someone make a schedule.
I think Maddie really wants the schedule to come out.
What? I don't know if he said that once or twice.
They're too busy discussing rules.
Literally every week. Like, let's go. Like, we can interview every owner. Birds can attack the interviews. Like, we can't get a schedule out though. No schedule. Can't get that done. Draft is going to make so much of a difference. Bunch of jackasses. And then they might change the damn game 3 weeks beforehand just in case because the Thursday night teams suck.
Yeah, it's not 21. With BA, I think I actually wouldn't be surprised if he starts out on the PUP list and misses at least 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That sounds legitimate to me.
For sure.
As well.
Yeah, most definitely. He'll sign there and then he'll be back, but won't be back. Then you hear the whole, they're opening the practice window thing. And then that'll be a couple of weeks. And then he'll be back, sometime late in the year.
Maddie's chilling tonight. He's awake.
I'm all good.
He's awake and he's aware of all.
I'm like the Bendu, man. I know what's going on.
He sees all and knows all.
Sin, I don't know. I think we see BA this year. What type of BA we see, I don't know. But after injury, you're always going to have a player that, isn't really 100%. And then they get another full off season, not to rehab and just focus on their craft. And then they're back, pretty much close to 100% the following year. So who knows? We'll see. Rob D, Star Wars reference of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Subtle.
So he also says that Cowing and Pearsall were working out together in Florida. See, I like to see this. I'm excited about those two. We saw like bits and pieces of Jacob Cowing last season. Pearsall started to come into his own. But this is year 2, and the sophomore slump is real. So what are you guys' thoughts on these two, Becca?
Well, I mean, the sophomore slump, that is real, but I don't know. That's always, to me, that's always hard to know if it's real or not. I think they're trying hard, they're working hard, and that remains to be seen. But I'm excited. I think Pearsall looks good, or looked good in what we saw of him last year, even after the incredible return that he had. So I think it bodes well for him to come in and play well, especially already having gotten some play time when this is Cowing. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do next year as well.
Yeah. The only thing surprising about them working out together is that it's happening in Florida instead of Arizona. Like they're friends, they're buds. They did this last year. I think this year what makes it even better is that they're starting earlier. They know what to expect, what they need to improve on, and they get to push each other and work on that. Because they fully expect, we're going to get a whole lot more playing time this year. Like the writing's on the wall. It's on us. So let's step up our game. So I'm encouraged to see this. And I'm very excited for both of them. I'm a huge Jacob Cowing fan. I can't wait to see him get more reps. So keep on working out, fellas.
Sour Doom, your thoughts?
Jacob Cowing is going to get a lot more touches this year as well, I think, on the kickoff team. You go back, you watch last year's game. Tampa's a good one. He almost broke one in that game. He had quite a few last year. You get him out in open space, things can happen. Uh, I'd like to. I think that play is going to be a little more dynamic, and now that we have a special teams coordinator who actually seems to know what he's doing, that's also some exciting stuff. So I'm excited to see some stuff there. To me, there's sophomore slumps for guys who start off well as a freshman. We saw that with Brandon Ayuk, but there's also the sophomore jump for guys who didn't really play that well as a rookie. We saw that with Nico Collins of the Houston Texans, right? Like he didn't have a real great rookie year, and then all of a sudden he went from wide receiver 6 to holy shit, who's this guy? He catches everything. So it's kind of one of those deals, right? And that's just kind of the way I look at it, and kind of the way I see it with those guys. So hopefully things work out and work out the way they're supposed to. But with Pearsall too, like he had such a weird year with all the things that happened to him. Like I don't expect any sort of sophomore slump for him because I think he finally figured out how to get things done towards the end of last year. I mean, you saw it in the Miami game, kind of with the way they used him and utilized him. He's definitely got
Up there,
what is it Roxette saying? Yeah, he's got the look, right? I think he can be the perfect receiver for this offense.
saw it.
And really become that sidekick guy that Brock is always going to need, right? That Tom Brady always had Troy Brown, Wes Welker, or Julian Edelman. Okay. Those three were all the same type of receiver, and they all did the same thing. They were going to run the same routes and do the same thing, but if shit broke down, they were going to know where to be so that Brady could hit them, right? Dwight Clark was like that for Joe Montana. You saw it with John Taylor. You saw it with Jerry Rice. Heck, you saw it with Brent Jones, too. Even saw it with Russ Francis and Roger Craig a little bit, too. That's why those 49ers offenses were so unbelievably deadly. There was so much versatility for those guys. But he fits the profile. And Jacob Cowing with a year to learn, like maybe he can become that deep threat that kind of takes the tops off the defense once in a while, but the defense actually has to worry about, right? So it's there's some exciting times I think for those two receivers, and I'm sure there'll be a guy that they find in this draft, probably with one of those 11 picks that's a receiver at some point, and we'll see who it is. There's going to be the more and more I dig on this draft, the more and more I feel like it's a 49ers type of draft where maybe they don't hit all the first, second, third, fourth rounders before I bet 4, 5, 6, and 7 they're going to be unearthing some guys, and people are going to be like, how in the hell did they make it to the 5th, 6th, 7th round? So they're going to the store and they're going to get 11 lottery tickets. Let's see how many they scratch off as winners. Let's put it that way.
Here you go, Maddie. McNiner says that the NFL schedule making AI is busy figuring out how it makes the fourth place schedule really, really hard for the Niners.
How many times can we send them? Can we send them to Europe and then send them to the United Arab Emirates and then possibly send them to China and then have them come home for a Thursday night game against Seattle in Seattle, because every Thursday night game has to be in Seattle, of course.
No. That game's going to be flexed in the week before.
Yeah.
Just because.
Three, they'll give you the 3 weeks.
No, 3 weeks. The week before. Because we want to see Sam Darnold versus Brock Purdy.
Coming off a bye.
Yeah, because we have to see them throw the goddamn fish at Pike's Place. I swear to Christ, every time. Oh,
yes, we know. Fish. We know. That's what they do.
We get it. They throw fish in Seattle. F off. I'm so tired of it. Enough.
So, Maddie, you mentioned the international game. Matt Mayoko had said that there probably won't be an international game for the Niners this year.
That is crazy to me that a team that travels so damn well doesn't get sent overseas, especially in a fourth place schedule, because that's usually the shit they do to teams like that, right? That's just kind of the way I look at that. It's really interesting. But also remember last year, Jess, they kept telling us they were going to get the Brazil game. It seemed like the Brazil game was an absolute lock last year. They thought they were getting that international game, and all of a sudden, poof, it was somebody else. So don't ever underestimate the power of backroom deals in the NFL. And if somebody decides that maybe they don't want their team to go, they'll have somebody else go, right?
And the lives they tell.
And because they pushed this draft off so damn long, it just lengthens the time that they have to spout bullshit between now and then about who they want and what they're looking at. And then at the end of the day, they have to come out after the draft and be like, everything fell the way we wanted it. Everything fell even better than the way we wanted it, even if it fell like absolute hot garbage on a platter.
Sin says, we just saw Philly beat Kansas City in the trenches. Didn't Kyle watch that same Super Bowl also? Didn't he come away with the feeling that we need a dominant O-line? I feel like, Kyle and John like a lot of competition, but I feel like this year there's going to be like a lot of competition. What do you guys think?
Tara Dome's comment is funny too about the trenches. We can't pick boogers or daisies. We got to pick all pros.
This is going to be the second year for this for the guys that are in there. Wooten and the other dude. I cannot remember his name to save my life right off the top of my head. Like and I thought they had a pretty good draft last year, right? Would we agree 49ers had a pretty good draft last year?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we played a lot of rookies.
Right, and they didn't have nearly the lead time on some of this stuff that they did this year, right? So I expect them to do really well this year, and I think they're in a perfect spot, and they've got some teams ahead of them that do dysfunctional things, right? And if teams ahead of you do dysfunctional things, you get to take advantage of that because they decided to trade up for Jackson Dart in the top 10, or they decided to trade up for Shedeur Sanders in the top 10 because he's dropping for whatever reason. Like there's multiple scenarios that could happen, and I think they're in the perfect spot to get whoever they want. I just hope they don't draft one of those Mike Mamula-esque, pro day targets, right? Like I look at a guy like a Shamar Stewart or the Armand Membu. I know we're going to talk about some of these draft guys more, but man, they were so good at the combine. And look at those numbers. But then when you look at their actual numbers and their tape, it's like, ooh, what was happening here? You've got all this talent, yet you're getting your ass kicked by, Southwestern Louisiana, right? Like if you're getting your ass beat by a raging Cajun, like something has gone wrong here, right? Yet you're measuring off the charts at the combine. So yeah, I'm real interested to see who they do come away with in this draft, especially in that top spot and in that second rounder, because that's where they're going to make their money. They have no pressure, but got to hit an all pro with one of those two, right? Like not to be like a total jerk here, but you really do an all pro or an all pro type that is going to make a difference and an impact and bring stability to this team for a very long time at a very cost effective rate for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
I would love to get Genty. I would literally do anything to get Genty in here because that dude would just bring that. If you want a carbon copy what the Philadelphia Eagles just did, go ahead and bring Ashton Genty in here and have a great time. Just become, run CM Genty. Like it would, ooh, boy.
AJMT.
Yeah, it would. That would be the best 1-2 punch at running back this team has had since Roger Craig and Wendell Tyler in the early 80s. That's a fact.
I like last year's draft because they actually went the route of getting guys with experience. And I hope they do that again this year. One last thing before we jet out of here. If we have a repeat of this last season, what happens to John and Kyle?
They're going to be on the hot seat for a year unless it goes so unbelievably poorly that people, i.e. people around the Yorks and the DeBartolos, demand a change, which I highly doubt. It would have to go so far off the damn rails because of absolute stupidity. Like it would have to go like Kyle would have to go full Matt Eberflus this year to lose his job, right? You got like on the scale, like he would have to totally F up a timeout situation on national television, and cost his team the division, or it would just have to be that sort of level stupid, right? Everybody gets injured again, and they're 2-14. But like I said, even then, if everybody gets injured and it's another meh year, they're still going to get one more year to prove themselves. I'm pretty sure they each just got contract extensions, so they'll get some time to turn it around if that's the case. But man, their seat will be hot as hell in 2026 if that happens. But great news, I don't expect that to happen.
I actually disagree. I think there is pressure on this regime, but I don't think they would be on the hot seat.
I don't either.
I don't think that they are going anywhere for a very long time unless they actually want to leave.
I would
Fair
agree
enough.
with that. Just, I think Jed York made some comments like, "Are you kidding me? Have you seen the track record? Like, it's the most outlandish thing I've ever heard." You know, when people, the Fire Kyle crew, you know, ratchet up their rhetoric. You know, that always comes back, and to hear him, you know, sit there and like just laugh out loud. He's like, "I don't even understand it. Like, it makes no sense." So I don't. I think even if we have another down year, they're not on the hot seat. Maybe in everyone else's eyes, but not in ownership. I don't see it.
Yeah, Jed had said that he wouldn't want to work with anybody else. And Sin says Jed seems to love Kyle and John, and that's true. Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you ladies. I think Jed has found his Bill Belichick, his Mike Tomlin. You know,
Yep.
the coach
Sean
that he
Payton.
likes, can trust. Sean Payton, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You know that he's been through his laundry list of coaches. He took his lumps, his growing pains, and now he's hit on a winning team, and he believes in them, and he enjoys them. Why get rid of that and have to start over? Right? You're going to have your ups and downs, your ebbs and flows. But when your ebbs and flows is Super Bowl, championship, dip, championship, it's like the good is outweighing the bad tremendously.
Right. We
And
talked
even
about
though, yeah, and even though we haven't reached the ultimate goal, we're right there. We're right there.
We talked about Pittsburgh and Baltimore and how, you know, they get to the Super Bowl and then have down a couple of years, 2 or 3, and they're not like turning over everybody on the staff because they've got winning coaches with winning, you know, ideas. You know, coaching matters. We've said it a bunch of times that you don't want to just give up these great coaches just because there's bad couple of seasons. There's a lot of factors that go into why the season didn't work out the way you wanted it to. And so then the next thing you know, who's back in the playoffs? Pittsburgh. Who's winning divisions and back in the playoffs? Baltimore. So you can't just keep throwing everything out, you know, burning down the house and rebuilding every time, you know, something goes wrong. Right? Just because the outlet doesn't work anymore, you don't burn down the house and then have to rebuild.
I think we'll be like at least an 11-12 win team this year.
I mean, the schedule is favorable, so hopefully I think that's. Yeah.
But you know, they seriously need to hit on the draft, and I think they're very determined to do so. And I'm going to close the show with this comment from Kali because I agree with this. They brought in Luke Farrell to lessen the blocking reps for George, so George can be more of a weapon in the passing game.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to believe that.
That's
And I want to see it work in action. And then I want to be like, wow, Kali was 100% right and Jess was 100% right. Right. And probably Ty and Becca were 100% right. But until I friggin' see a tight end 2 in this offense not shit their pants on national television, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, George.
I hope it's true.
Yeah, I talked about this before. The people are panicking over the receiver room. We don't have receivers, but you got to think George Kittle is a receiver. Christian McCaffrey is a receiver. Like, we're fine there. And if we can find a guy who can stay in the block and use George more, hello, answer to our prayers. Us.
Blessed be.
Because
yes.
we've been saying all the time. Well, it's Jess's saying. It's not our saying. She patented it All credit goes to her.
Good things happen when the ball's in George Kittle's hands.
Hallelujah.
There's only so many people that can cover the tight end, right? There's only so many guys in the league built to cover a tight end like George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
For him to be used for blocking on anything other than run plays is a crime against humanity and should go on some sort of Geneva Convention update, frankly.
High crimes and misdemeanors.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, give me a damn break, man. Like, no, we're not doing that. Thank you.
All right,
Stop
let's
it.
go to that 2-minute warning. Get Becca.
Oh, I have nothing prepared other than, come on, let's get the Brock Purdy contract done, and let's get some of these pieces settled and give us a better picture of where we're going. We already know it's happening. Let's just get the man his contract, and I think that will help the faithful feel a little better. But otherwise, keep the faith. I think it's going to be a good season.
Yes, get it done. Faithful, stay faithful. You're all a part of Team Faithful. Let's stick together. That's right. And just wait for the draft. Wait for everything to, just fall into place. Maddie, that means you too. And shout out to the chat. You guys were great. Shout out to Faithful Gear. And as always, go Niners. Maddie, then.
I don't think there's 10 quarterbacks better than Brock Purdy in the league. I did a list a few weeks ago with some neutral fans that weren't Patriots fans, weren't any fans, right? They were fans of the league, right? And they were like, they weren't 49ers fans or whatever. It was just like, hey, who is this? And we all figured it out, man. And Brock Purdy was in the top 10. So stop it. Let's make it work, and let's celebrate. Let's get back here a week from today and celebrate the Brock Purdy deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty.
So after seeing Kyle at the owners' meetings, I had an interesting thought. If Jess and Kyle were to hang out at the owners' meetings, whom outdrinks whom? I think next year we have to make that happen, folks. Stay tuned.
I want to see that.
That's for CTV.
Awesome. All right, guys. We're back here next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Go Niners. See you next week.
Go Niners.
And of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking.